relaunch of the Facts Over Fandom show. I am your host, Brandon Podgorski. Hard to believe that the last episode of this show was way back in December 2023. If you've listened to the show, or if you've watched the show in the past, you know that Facts Over Fandom, it wasn't just another sports talk show. Those are a dime a dozen. You can find those anywhere. What I wanted to do, and in my role as a sport management professor, was get to people to understand the business side of sports. What happens? Why do the decisions off the court, the field, the ice, why do those affect what we see? And try to give you an insider view just based on my experience in the industry. You know, I've been in sports in one way or another, really ever since I was a kid, but really kind of on the business side since I was in college back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then on throughout that, whether as an entrepreneur or working in college athletics as a coach or an athletic director, working on the corporate partnership side of sports. And then I've been in higher ed as a faculty member of sport management for the past 8 years. And just I want to give you an update first of what's been going on since I did my last show back in December 2023 and what this show is going to become going forward. But over the past year and a half, I've taken a new position. I'm still in higher ed and in academia, but now I'm a professor of sport leadership and management. And I think that's really important, a really important distinction that my institution makes is that, you know, not only are we going to teach you those technical skills on the management side that you need to be successful in sport, but also the leadership skills. And I think that's something that, you know, I don't want to say is a blind spot in a lot of sport management programs, but maybe something that we don't prioritize is the leadership side. We do a good job of preparing students for going out and, hey, this is how you run an event. This is how you run a facility. This is how you count the beans. This is how you market what we're trying to do. This is how you try to predict how many beans you're actually going to need. But what about the leadership part of it? You know, how is it that we can cultivate teams and help with team cohesion and manage different personalities? As you can imagine in sports are incredibly diverse. You know, if I go to the mall, there's certain stores that are just going to cater to one type of person, right? Sports, we cater to everybody. Everybody, for the most part, loves sports. And we all come from different backgrounds with different experiences and in different opinions, you know, different ways of seeing the world. So as a leader, how can I bring these teams, these diverse teams together in pursuit of a common goal? I think that's really kind of a fascinating thing to look at when you're just looking at what's happening on the court, on the ice, on the field, just from a coaching perspective, is having the ability to manage all these different personalities. I just wrote an op-ed not too long ago talking about emotional intelligence in sport. And think about some of the best coaches who were able to do this. You know, I think about guys, you know, maybe in the past, not too distant past, but, you know, guys like Chuck Noll, Tony Dungy, Phil Jackson, guys who were able to bring Joe Madden, bring teams together, different guys from different places, different points of view, different cultures, and bring them together as part of a team and go and win championships. And not only did they do that, but they did it in a way that helped foster good team cohesion. It wasn't necessarily kind of like this hierarchy where it's my way or the highway, right? They had enough emotional intelligence to be able to bring this team together, allow people to be their genuine selves, but how can we do it in pursuit of a team goal? And I think that's really fascinating, and that's what I want to focus on now. So I'm finishing up my PhD, thankfully. I'm working on my dissertation right now in sports leadership, and I just find this stuff fascinating. So what I want to do with this show going forward is just look what's going on in sport, just generally, whether it's in the news or just things that I kind of see, and talk about it. And how can we talk about this from a leadership perspective? I'm going to do each episode in 10 minutes or less, just give you a quick bite on what's happening, how can it affect team dynamics, what's it look like from a leadership perspective, and maybe how you can apply it, you know, if you're coaching or you're an administrator or you're a professional in the sport, or if you're just a fan. What are some things that I'm seeing that you can apply? So that's what we want to do with this show, or what I want to do. I wish there was a team, a we. That's what I want to do with this show going forward. So I'm really excited. We'll bring you an episode per week, more if I think I can fit that in and do that. But just really excited to bring that to you. So this is going to be our pilot episode, kind of our first episode of the relaunch of the Facts Over Fandom show, and then we'll follow up with additional episodes, one each week. So I'll have a new one drop tomorrow that's going to be on a certain subject in sport leadership, and then we'll go from there. So please do me a favor, give me a follow. I'm on X at Professor_pod, P-O-D, at Professor_pod. We'll put that on an overlay as well if I haven't already. And let me know what it is you want to hear. You can also message us through Spotify if you're watching us there. Message us on YouTube if you're watching me there, and just let me know what it is that you want to hear about. What are you seeing in sport that you want me to take a deep dive on? One thing I got to give a shout out to my Indiana Pacers right now. I live in Indianapolis. I'm from Indianapolis, and they're getting ready to play Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm recording this on Wednesday. They're going to play Game 1 tomorrow on Thursday. And it's just really fascinating to look at these NBA Finals and look at these two teams. Kind of a departure maybe than what we've seen in the past, where you've had like this big name all-star, whether it's LeBron with the Cavs and the Heat and the Lakers, and then Steph Curry with the Warriors, and kind of building around like these big superstar players and having that big three, whatever it is, and then going out buying the team, and then or having guys kind of team up together and going and winning an NBA Finals. We've got a departure from that this year, and I think it speaks to kind of a larger trend that we're seeing in sport, where analytics, but I also think culture is playing a big part in championship teams. So we got the Thunder and the Pacers, where we have two teams where they've got good players. I mean, SGA on the Thunder is the MVP. He's a certified star. Other guys like Holmgren are stepping up, which, when he was drafted, looking at him, it's like, okay, yeah, he's tall, but he's so skinny. How's he actually going to be able to play in the NBA? But he's able to step up. You look at the Pacers, they got an all-star in Siakam, and I think a budding superstar in Halliburton, but I don't think there's anybody on the Pacers who's necessarily a household name. So you got these two kind of maybe smaller market team, which I don't think really makes much of a difference what the market is. It really depends on the players. But you've got teams that have been developed where, yeah, you've got to have good players. You can't win in the NBA without good players. But maybe we don't have these household names, but we're going to get really good players who fit a role, who are going to play their role, who are going to play hard, who are going to play a certain style, and we're going to be successful. And so I think it's a fascinating finals. I think we saw this in the NCAA tournament in March Madness with Florida, where even their Coach Golden, talked about, we're not really too concerned with stars of players. Are they 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, whatever? I mean, they want to go out and they want to get good players, but they're looking for players who fit their system. Players who are going to do the hard work, who are going to accept their role. Think about how hard that is in college athletics right now, where it's the Wild West. You could have a great player come in and as a freshman, tell them, hey, we've got upperclassmen ahead of you, so we really need you to play this role coming off the bench, right? And your time's going to come, and if you stick with that, you're going to become a champion. But then after 1 year, they're like, hey, I'm not getting playing time. I'm out. And your team is changing almost year after year. How in the world can you develop any cohesiveness? And I think Coach Golden in Florida has started to figure that out a little bit with the way that they approach recruiting. I look at a guy like Matt Painter at Purdue. He's figured out with the way that they approach recruiting. And listen, we're not just going to go after these 5-star guys. We're going to go after guys who fit our culture and fit our system. That's fascinating. With the money being spent in college athletics right now, with the money being spent in professional athletics, how can we allocate those dollars wisely to build a team? How can we find players who are going to fit the team, who are going to fit a role, stick with it, and allow us to be successful? I think these are the things that are going to play out over sport over time. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with the LA Dodgers. Because, yeah, they went out and they basically bought a team. They have, for the past few years, maybe the past couple decades. Is that going to work? Now, I think the guys that they went out and got are good guys, and I think they fit. I think you could put them on any team, and they're going to be successful as just good people and good players. But buying a team doesn't work anymore. Can you be like the Yankees of old and just go out and buy every good player and steamroll the rest of the league? Egos are involved. There's so much money that's involved. And if a guy isn't getting playing time, we saw this right in Boston with Devers, who doesn't want to play first base. How's that going to affect the rest of the team dynamics? How do you vet that before it even gets to the place where we have that issue that comes up, where you got a guy who doesn't want to step in and play a role that would help the team, right? These are all fascinating things that I think there's an appetite for fans. So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to break those down each week. We'll do one episode. So please, if you would, give us a subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facts Over Fandom. Give me a follow on X at Professor_pod, Professor_POD. And then subscribe to our Spotify. Give us a like. It kind of helps us with the algorithm. And if I grow this, great. If not, great. For me, this is really just kind of a labor of love. It's a hobby. It's what I enjoy doing. And quite frankly, it's what I feel that God is calling me to do. My passion is sports. My passion is looking at sports from a leadership lens. But I really enjoy broadcasting. I really enjoy hopping on the podcast and hopping on radio. I got to do radio for the past year before we moved down to Indianapolis. So I just miss it, and excited to get Facts Over Fandom back up and going here in 2025. So look for new episodes soon, and can't wait to talk with you.